Welcome to the Time for Heroes podcast. On the podcast today, I have Melanie Pain, who is a French artist who has just released her fourth studio album the end of last year. As well as that, she sings with Nouvelle Vague. So they've got a few albums out as well. So we're going to touch on Melanie's career and what she's up to now. But what I like to do at the start, Melanie, is go right back to the start, what life was like for a young Melanie Pain growing up.
Yeah, young Melanie Pain growing up. I was the third child in a family of 4 girls. So, so there was a lot of movement in my family. So I just have this memory of having always people screaming, dancing. Like it was a bit of a big chaos, I think, in my house. And we lived in a small village in Normandy, and we all invite all our friends all the time. So it was like a full house of kids running around. And that's it. And I guess I was always inspired to perform, because I remember performing in my garden and working all day to singing and dancing. That was when I grew up as a kid. So that's the starting point.
With four girls in that house, you must have drove your dad wild.
Well, my dad was working a lot, and I think my mom did everything. But yeah, my dad was always happy to be surrounded by girls. That's true.
So you said obviously you, for an early age, you kind of had that performer instinct. Was it a musical house?
Yes, I think it wasn't very conscious. And then when I was a teenager, I was more cerebral, and I studied political sciences and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of forgot about this instinct of wanting to perform, and I think I was more an intellectual at that stage. So, and then by a big coincidence, or I don't know, accident, I don't know how you call it, a big luck, I was back to performing as really when Nouvelle Vague kind of called me and said, "Do you want to sing some songs?" And that was absolutely not what I was doing. I was having a proper job, like I was working in design agency. Yeah, I was not singing professionally at all. So yeah, I think it was meant to be, I think, but I didn't really, it never happened as well. It was like a kind of, a lot of little things that happens at the good time. And then I started a career as a singer, and this has been my life for 20 years. Yes, it's a journey.
Well, so I've got here, obviously you recorded a demo with one of your friends, and that's how Nouvelle Vague discovered you. What was the purpose of the demo then? Was that just to help your friend out at the time?
Yeah,
and
it was my boyfriend, and he wrote some songs, and he said, I need a girl singing all these songs. Can you demo them so I can send it and find a real singer? I did it without thinking. I'll just sing all the songs. And this demo arrived on the desk of Nouvelle Vague producer, and they say, "What? You searching for a singer? But who's that, girl singing?" And my boyfriend said, "Oh, it's just my girlfriend. She's not a singer." And, and Marc Collin said, "Oh yeah, but can you give me a number?" And then, yes. And then it wasn't really nice for my boyfriend at that time, because in 2 years' time, I ended up touring the world and having a very successful career with Nouvelle Vague. And I think he resented me for that a bit.
You're still with us, boy, now?
Yeah.
Ach, well, serves him right then, didn't it?
Yeah.
Has lost. Influences, like your musical influences growing up, were they the same back then as they are now?
Yeah, I'm always been really a fan of British pop, and I think, yes, it's the same. Didn't change. This didn't change. I was listening to the Beatles when I was 5, and then I still listen to them now. And obviously I went to different stages, but I think I do really like a pop song. I think that never changed. I think I'm a bit lost whenever I listen to jazz or stuff like this. I need a chorus, and something I can sing along to. You know what I mean? Yes, I think this didn't really change. I'm still listening to the Smith a lot. I'm still listening to all the bands. Nick Cave, I was a big fan of Nick Cave. I'm still listening to him. Yeah, I'm pretty faithful in terms of music, I think.
So, like, actually singing with Nouvelle Vague, because obviously, start out it was all covers, and as it progressed, you started writing your own songs as well. But the songs that you were covering then, like they're all artists, a lot of British artists that I'd imagine you were fans of. I mean, like going further forward, you ended up singing with Ian McCulloch on one of the songs. So like covering these songs, like obviously the first album you sang on a Public Image Limited cover, and you also done Teenage Kicks with the Undertones. So how was that then? Firstly, like recording these songs and then performing them on stage. How do you feel performing the cover songs?
It's funny because, as I said, Marc Collin called me one day and said, "Come to the studio. I've got some songs for you to sing. It's covers from like new wave bands from the 80s." I didn't really know the songs. I didn't know Teenage Kicks. I didn't know This Is Not Love Song because they were like the songs of my bigger sisters. Like I was just too small and too young. I mean, so he just like he didn't even play them to me. He kind of Olivier was here with the guitar. He sing the song to me and say, "This is the lyrics. This is the chords. Do something with that." So for me, it's the first time I recorded with Nouvelle Vague. It was a bit like singing a song, you know, like any songs. You've got words, you've got a melody, so you need to make it your own. And then I realized that it was covered when I went on tour and everyone was singing the words. I was like, ah, yes, ah, yes. But, you know, I think the work is the same. I work with a lot of people. For me, I don't really treat it differently if it's a cover of or like a song I write with someone. It was like creating something new with Nouvelle Vague guys. You know, so yeah, covers or it could have been their songs. I wouldn't know, you know, it's like a Teenage Kicks. I didn't know it was like a huge hit and everything. So
That's
yeah.
amazing that you'd never heard that song before. That's mental.
Yeah, well, I think I just like it's generational stuff. Even now, when we tour with Nouvelle Vague, some people, young people, they don't know if it's covers, and they you know the Nouvelle Vague version.
Right.
Well, it's like any covers, you know, when you realize that it was an old standard, and you say, "What? It's not Nirvana? Like what?" You know what I mean? Like it's always a fun thing with covers because you can miss it. You can miss that you can actually realize like, "Oh, okay, all these years I've been listening to this song, I never heard the original." You know?
Mm. And probably the thing that helps with that is the sound. So the sound in Nouvelle Vague is completely different. It's what are we describing it as? Bossa Nova meets new wave. So all these songs that you're covering, it's a completely different take on them, and that's what makes them their own. As you say, so you're saying about a 20-year career. So that album, that first album was out in 2004. We're into our 22nd year actually. If we're right to be accurate about it, obviously the second album you featured on more because this is the thing with Nouvelle Vague. What they do is they get like a bunch of different female singers, haven't they?
Yeah.
So how do they work it? Do they just know what song will suit which singer?
Well, it depends on the album. Like on the second album, I think I did come with the idea of covering the Smith because it was one of my favorite bands. So sometimes I come with the idea. Sometimes Mark knows exactly what songs for what singer. We often try a couple of songs when we go to the studio, and it's just quite natural. We go behind the mic and we know in like 15 seconds if it's gonna work or not. Like, you know, he's like, "Oh, it's magic." No, it's not working. So it's trial and error, I think, a lot. And it's pretty open. Like Nouvelle Vague is a collective of artists and we come even with our own ideas. It's pretty cool. It's there's no recipe. It's like always a little bit different.
Yeah. And on that second album, as I say, you featured a lot more. There was 5 songs on it, covering Echo and the Bunnymen, Buzzcocks, Blondie, New Order. There was another one, The Lords of the New Church, who I've never heard of, but I've heard that song, but I don't know the band. So one of my all-time favourite songs, The Killing Moon by Echo and the Bunnymen. So obviously later on, you sang with him. So by the time you'd sang with Ian McCulloch, obviously you'd already sung The Killing Moon, so were you familiar with him?
Yeah, I listened to Echo and the Bunnymen and really loved it. And I sang with him on the third album. We sang All My Colors, and that was pretty magical because I love his voice and he's got such a big charisma. It's like it's amazing. And he came to Paris and we sing together on stage. And I was like, I was it was really impressive, very impressive singer songwriter, like really. And Killing Moon is such a it's a favorite for many people because it's such a powerful song.
Yeah, yeah, it's a absolutely beautiful song. But like that's what I mean, like actually then covering that song to then on the next album singing with him on another song. How how was that? How did you work that out? Because obviously like he's on the album, so how did you work out what parts you would sing? And was he all right with it?
I think, yeah, I didn't really spend a lot of time with him. He was came to Paris, recorded the thing. It was very quick, and I think the Marc and Olivier spent more time with him. I came, I did my part, and I was super shy. I really didn't really. I really was very yeah. It was very impressive for me. So I didn't really, and obviously I couldn't connect with such a big artist. I was like, I'm just singing, yeah, I'm just covering your song. I hope you like it, kind of thing. So yeah. And I was still young at that time. It was 20 years ago. So I was just beginning to sing. So I wasn't sure I was even a good singer. I was like, oh, it was all a bit like, oh, I hope he likes it.
Mm. And you say that you were just kind of finding your feet. So this is the third album, and this is 2009. And obviously, at that point, you released your debut solo album as well. And it's all original songs, apart from a Harry Nilsson cover. So, at what point, obviously during Nouvelle Vague, did you decide you were gonna do your solo stuff?
I was all coming natural to like people really liked the work I do with Nouvelle Vague, and they come and they come with some songs and they say, "Oh, do you want to sing my songs? Do you want to sing my song?" Like I had like more and more people asking me to sing on stuff, and at some point I said, "Oh yeah, maybe I should do an album. I can work with a lot of people. I've got all this excitement about what I do," and that's how it for me. It's like I was on tour like so much with Nouvelle Vague in 2008. I don't even remember how I could fit some studio time for my solo stuff. It was all like a kind of a
Mm.
crazy time. It's like, I think it's the best years of my life. I've been like, I was like busy. Everything was new. Like first time in England, first time in Japan, first time in Australia, and then first album. And like everything was very, yeah, it was wonderful. I remember feeling like really, really good about all this. And then, yeah, I just had, at some point, I had a collection of songs that was making sense. And it was like really the first stone of like trying to sing exactly the song I want to sing. And some of them I wrote, some other people wrote, helped me out. So yeah. And I called it My Name because really it was like I was still looking for who I was.
Mm.
I was still wondering who I was, and how come I'm here? What am I doing here in this amazing, time, and everything seemed to go my way. It was amazing. So yeah. So the first album was, I didn't really sit down and think about it too much. I was really into action. Let's do this song. I love this song. La Cigarette, such a beautiful song. Let's do it. Like, I was more like that.
And obviously, these songs are sung in French as well, which for a mid-40s guy just outside Glasgow, it's maybe not the first thing I would listen to, but obviously the last couple of weeks I've been listening to your music and it's so relaxing, it's so peaceful, and I don't know, it makes me feel a bit more intelligent sitting listening to French songs. It makes it like if somebody comes in the room and hears it and they think, "Oh, look at him, he really knows his stuff." I don't have a clue what the words are, but it sounds beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Eh, and obviously, like, touching on that, so, like, the album comes out the same year as Nouvelle Vague, and that seems to be quite a theme as well. I think 3 out of your 4 albums have come out round about the same time as a Nouvelle Vague record. Does it make it easier, do you think, to promote when you're already kinda doing stuff with the band?
No, it's it's not easy, but it's kind of always Nouvelle Vague has been releasing album every 3 years or something. So it was like a cycle of, and it was so good for me to every new album of Nouvelle Vague. I had my solo stuff as well. So it's really good for my brain. So it's really I think it's always been really good to have two projects. Now I've got a third one as well, but it's always good for me to be able to keeps me creative and frustrated because I don't have the time. And so I'm really excited. You know what I mean? I would love to have only one project that will just focus all my time and all my energy. I like to be able to go on holidays from my project and go to Nouvelle Vague, or go on holidays from Nouvelle Vague and go and sing with Kill the Pain, or come with my band now. It's always been very healthy, I think, for me.
Yeah, and that's so the second album, Bye Bye Manchester, a duet on that with Ed Harcourt. So I mean, I can remember Ed Harcourt when I just got into music in the like late '90s, early 2000s, and looking through his career, the amount of female singers that he's worked with. So is that kind of is that a feather in the cap to work with somebody like him?
I didn't get the question. Sorry. What was
Like,
it?
it's, I'm trying to rephrase it. It's how does that feel to work with a guy like Ed Harcourt who's worked with so many other female artists?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was really amazing. I came to his studio in London. I stayed 3 days, and what we did, like I don't know, in 3 days from scratch, we did 3 or 4 songs or something. It was really amazing. He's like super fast, super creative, and he's very, yeah, I think he's very, how do I say that? He's very, obviously he's very musical, but he likes the voice, and it's really nice to work with a composer that is also a singer and works with a lot of other singers.
Mhm.
Because he was really making sure that my voice was at the good place, and it was, I don't know, I remember really feeling very comfortable with him because of his experience, and he had no doubts. It was like, okay, yeah, that's good. No, that's shit. He was really like black and white, and so it was really cool. And I really loved the song Black Widow we did together. I really like this duet. It's really a good song that he wrote, actually.
Yeah, the vocal for both of yous is absolute beauty. Obviously, so that was 2013. 3 years you had I Could Be Happy by the Nouvelle Vague, that album came out, and your third album came out. And then 2019, Rarities came out, Nouvelle Vague. So obviously you mentioned about the Smiths. Obviously you covered the Smiths on that, Sweet and Tender Hooligan, as well as a couple of New Order ones, OMD. So obviously being a big Smiths fan, and you said about sometimes you would go to the band and suggest this. So I take it that was one of your suggestions, and how did it get done? And how happy are you with the kind of outcome of that specific song?
Sweet and Tender Hooligan, you mean?
Yeah.
This we played this song live before recording it. So I remember we added this song on tour because it's my favorite of them. And we were doing it as a guitar voice, just like in the encore, I think. So we played this song so much, and I was like, oh, it has to be on the album. Like I have to, we have to do a recording of this. And I don't know, I really I really like the lyrics and the wittiness, and the beautiful, like it's very, this kind of romantic thing. I feel like it's really talking to me, and the melodies and everything, it's really my cup of tea, I'll say. So I'm really happy with this. But the best, I think, version I did of the Smiths is on the last album is Charming Man. I think I'm really, really happy with this. Like Sweet and Tender Hooligan is like really a very instinctive, like live performance. But Charming Man for me, it's like, it opens another world to the song. I can see it like, I can see this guy, this charming man in a car, but in Brazil with with a white tuxedo. Like I could have like, it was like really a lot more, I think, creativity putting on Charming Man. I'm really glad we did that. And it's not an easy song to sing actually, in terms of like groove and everything. But yeah, this is my favorite cover of the Smith I've ever done.
So obviously you touched on other musical projects. 2023, Olivier Pain. So yourself, Melanie Pain, obviously, Phoebe Kildea, who also sings with Nouvelle Vague. So what was the idea behind that? Obviously, 2023, be like kind of coming out of lockdown. Was that kind of a lockdown idea?
Exactly. It was exactly this. She was in Berlin. I was somewhere like in the countryside in France, but we've always been like, I've been touring with Phoebe Kildare since 2006, Vague, and we became best friend really. And we always thought we're so good together on stage. We should make a band. And it's been like an idea we had, but we never had the time to do it. And then in lockdown, we were like, okay, let's do this, man. And we had this idea of doing a punk band, which was like feeling very free to do whatever we wanted. She's very rock and roll. I'm a bit more pop, but we kind of messed up, and I ended up singing like a hip hop thing on one of the songs, and I ended up like singing some rock thing. We were trying to break all our rules, yeah, all our routines, and it was super fun to do. And it was the time of lockdown when I thought, music has absolutely no future anymore. I will never be able to perform. There will never be any more concerts. That it's finished. It's the ancient world, and so it really kept me alive for all these COVID stuff. And then we really had a lot of fun touring with this project, because we went and absolutely disguise ourselves. It was a kind of Devo punk, the Slits version. Like, it was like this kind of, we felt very free to do that, because she had her own project, I have my solo project, but together we're like, whoo, we go crazy.
It gives you that, just the two of you together egging each other on to just do your own thing and kind of, don't know, just let barriers drop a wee bit. The thing with COVID and the lockdown and all that, as much it gets a lot of bad press for kind of what it done to the music industry. Everybody that I've spoke to on the podcast, it seems to have helped in some way. Whether if it's somebody that's established and they're able to kind of take a couple of months to kind of reset or whatever, or for grassroots artists coming up, they're able to kind of focus on their writing. So I think COVID's been a lot more helpful than people might have thought at the time.
Mm,
Would you
no,
agree with that?
well, I agree with that. I think it's a very good exercise, and it's really I don't know. It's trying to be yourself on someone else's work. Like, it's this kind of stuff of you can't just repeat and mimic the thing. You have to be even more creative. I think it's and it really, yeah, it helps. It's as well like paying a tribute to everything you like and other musicians. I like this idea of like we're sharing this whole um music, you know. So yeah.
So, as well as Kill the Pain album, there was another album came out the same year, All That Matters, with Olivier LeBeau. Am I pronouncing that right?
Which one? Olivier LeBeau, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I I might be better at the French than I thought. My pronunciation seems all right. So what's the story behind that album? Who's Olivier, and how did that album come about?
Well, that's a sad story. Olivier was the guitarist of Nouvelle Vague, one of the two producers, like Marc Collin and Olivier LeBeau. So they've been like my family for 20 years. And Olivier passed away in 2021. And we were working on this album, All That Matters, but he didn't finish it. So we had to finish it. It was really intense because it was like really a very important project for him. And he couldn't finish it. I asked the drummer and I said, look, should we finish it? Like for him, it was like 3/4 finish. So it's not like, but yeah, so this album was very special because we were in the studio trying to think of what would Olivier would have done here, what was his choice. But I think it's beautiful that it's out there because it's really his last it's all his last will, like his
Yeah,
thing he wanted to do, because he wanted to do another album where he could do his favorite covers, not only Nouvelle Vague, but not only New Wave, but whatever he wanted. So yeah, so we did that and we released it, and now I'm really happy that we did. So
yeah, it's a brilliant tribute to him. Then I mean, I wasn't aware of that, but now that I know that, I'll probably get back and listen to it in a different light, knowing the kind of story behind it. So I mean, that kind of then leads us up to kind of modern day now. So Nouvelle Vague's last album, Should I Stay or Should I Go? Obviously, that's the one with this charming man on it. Another brilliant cover as well, Yazoo, which that's a fantastic song at the best of times, but the cover gives it a totally different light as well. So that came out, and then that was reissued again, an extended deluxe version last year at the same time as you released your fourth album. So the fourth album, How and Why, a lot more English speaking songs on it as well. Before I give my take on it, how would you describe that album to personally, like what it was like recording it and what you think it sounds like for the listener?
it's How and Why for me is the album I always wanted to do. And I produced it myself, so I took my time. My idea was to really go back to the melody and really work the songs until I was 100% happy with them. And I wanted songs that were emotional, positive. I was searching for some light, really. I was searching for some kind of I think times are a bit dark at the moment. And I was really wanted to make songs that are soothing, like could be taken as a medicine. Like you listen to the song and you feel good. And it's not just like a happy, happy song. It's actually an intense, like I'm talking about some sad subjects. It's quite melancholic, but I really try to force myself to see the other side always and to just go to the light and bring all this pain and all this sadness and do something beautiful with it. So I think that was my main goal, and really to go back to the one guitar, one voice, basically, as
Mhm.
core of the album, and telling stories that will help people feel good, or it helped me feel good. And I hope people will listen to the tracks and say, oh yeah, that's about a sad story, but oh yeah, but it makes me feel good to listen to it.
I've had it on loop the last couple of days. Obviously, I've been listening to all your stuff, but I keep coming back to this album, and I don't know. For me, it sounds like a lot of music that I'll listen to. So, like times your voice sounds like Keris Matthews, the Catatonia. Can I hear that? Also hear couple of Scottish bands, the Delgados and Bell and Sebastian, the kind of like melodically, and then the title track of the album, How and Why, it sounds similar to Alex Turner, the Arctic Monkeys. It sounds like have you heard his solo EP that he did? So it sounds a bit like that.
No, I don't. Like, I need to go and listen to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you a shout out at the end. I'll let you know what it's called. But so I mean that's a lot of kind of British kind of but newer stuff than you've been previously covering. But they're the sort of sounds that I got for it, and I connected with it instantly.
Sorry.
I connected with the music instantly because it sounded like, because I get those kind of
Others.
comparisons, that's probably why I connected with it. So how's it been going down for the album come out? How's it been received?
I think I'm really glad everyone is finding the album quite powerful and quite dense and coherent. Like, it's the first time some people, even in my close friends, are telling me there's not one bad songs in your album. Like, it's, I hear some kind of stuff like this, I think, and I feel very, very glad that I managed to do that, because it's true. I didn't leave any kind of song that I didn't find magical. I really try to find the emotion on every song, and I think people see it as like very lumineux, like very, I say feel good, but it's not very feel good. It's just like something that kind of fills you up with like emotions, but it feels good, and it feels like, it feels like you can grow from that.
Yeah,
So
it feels wholesome. I think it's just kind of it's there. It's a body work. Genuinely, as I say, if you listen to all your music, it's definitely the
no,
finest piece of work.
I find it too. Yes, I'm very proud actually, because I didn't know if I would be able to do it. It's the first time I as well worked without any producers. Usually write some songs, I get some help, and then I go to a producer, and he find the sound. And for this album, I was feeling ready to do it myself. So we wrote the song. I work with a guitarist, and he wrote all the songs, and then I went to the studio with all my musicians, but there was no boss. There was no producer there to say,
Mhm.
"We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that." It was all like, yeah, let's play this song. Oh yeah, that's great. And we recorded mostly live. So we didn't have any kind of, it was like, yeah, I really like that. I think you can hear that kind of musicians playing to and not overthinking and not wanting to prove anything, just serving a beautiful, I hope, en tout cas, I find a beautiful song, and try to, yeah, uh, give the most emotion you can to these songs. So thank you for the compliment. I take it gladly.
What's the plan then going forward? I see you're touring basically the first half of this year. You start at Belgium uh, later this month for a couple of weeks, and then you seem to be touring probably right up to April, May time. What's the plan going forward?
Well, I'm very focused on the touring right now, so I want to play the songs. Um, and I've been touring with Nouvelle Vague at the end of the year, so I'm taking this time to really enjoy my touring, because those songs are really important for me, and wanna I really wanna sing them to the audience. So this is gonna be my year, I think, just focusing on live. I don't know. I'll probably go back to the studio at some point, but I think I've got a bonus tracks. We're deciding now to release a new song in April.
Hmm.
So song that I did in the end. Um, yeah, I think I'll go on to this path of writing songs and then going to the studio with the musician that know me really well. I think it works well for me.
So yeah, so more focused on the live sound then this year, and obviously, as I say, if that takes you up to April, May, then would you be looking at festivals?
Well, we'll see, because yeah, I need to find festivals. I had like a few proposals, but I want to play in festivals where actually people listen. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't. This is very intimate music, and I can't really go on stage between two rock band.
Yeah.
Uh, will not make any sense. I'm so happy that in the UK I'll be touring in like really cute venues, like really well picked, that people can just sit down and I can really connect with them. So I don't know. We'll see. I played this festival in England like a long time ago called the Big Chill, and that
Mhm.
was amazing. I would like to do stuff like that in the summer, like some chill festivals.
Yeah, well, I'd like to see you somewhere in Scotland. It'd be nice.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some good venues in Glasgow that would be suited to you.
Yeah. 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 I'd love to come to Scotland, of course.
Yeah, and so that's us at the end. Then the last part of the podcast, obviously, it's called Time for Heroes. I asked my guests to pick four heroes to come for dinner. I say four heroes. Some people have ended up picking about 20, so I'm not that strict on it. So a bunch of heroes to come for dinner. Why are they your heroes, and what would you cook for them as well?
Yeah, that was a very funny thing to think about. I was like, "Wow, this is out there. Well done." I've never had these sort of questions. But so I thought about it. So I think I will invite the first one that came to my mind was Simone de Beauvoir, the feminist writer that really I read when I was a teenager and actually really it's one of my hero in terms of like mm, compass about what it is to be a woman, you know. And she was very yeah, very advanced for a time. And so I will really love to ask her question. Obviously, she's dead for a long time now, but but you know, if I could resuscitate her, I'll invite her to my dinner. I thought about David Byrne, which for me is like I'm so amazed at how creative he is and how tasteful everything is doing. Is how does he do that? How does he not make any mistake of taste or you know what I mean? Everything he does for me is like clever,
Yeah.
you know, good. It's like, wow, this is so yeah, David Byrne, definitely. I thought about inviting Miyazaki.
Say that again.
Hayao Miyazaki, you know, the Japanese cartoonist, I guess, who did like Mononoke and Spirited
Hmm.
Away and all this. Because I watched that with my kids and I think I love it so much more than my kids do. And it's just this same, it's super creative. It's beautiful message all the time about the environment, about war, but it's done in a way that is so poetic. So I will have a few questions for him as well, Miyazaki, and then last will be probably Paul McCartney, and we'll beg him to write a song for me. That's it.
He
That's
is quite good, isn't he? He's quite good at the songwriting.
Yeah, quite a
Yeah.
good one. Yeah, quite a good one. So that's it for my dinner. And I was really finding hard to think about what to cook for these guys. So I thought I'll just do a big cheese platter with all the French cheese
Right.
and some wine. And so we'll have more time to discuss. It's not really about the food, but just, you know, just like a big cheese platter kind of gathering, you know. Yeah.
That sounds amazing. Paul McCartney, obviously. What's your? That's my two dogs saying a wee fight. I'll need to edit that out. Paul McCartney. What did you think of the Beatles documentary? Get Back. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't actually. It's on my list of things to watch. I haven't seen it. Everyone is talking, and I heard about it so much that I have the feeling that I saw it. So no, I didn't see it. So
Because obviously my take on it, I've always been swayed to John Lennon more than McCartney. I think a lot of people are like that. But after seeing that and seeing Paul McCartney basically single handedly dragged them all through that, and it,
mm,
it put him in a completely different light for me. It's kind of funny how it's took that long for me to kind of have the same respect for McCartney as I've had for Lennon all these years. So it was a total eye opener for me what he done.
wow, yeah, yeah, but that's cool. I always had a sweet spot for Paul McCartney myself. Well, I think I find John Lennon like, of course. I mean, like, of course, John Lennon is like, you know, an amazing. He's so complex and so inspiring, you know. But I don't know. I like the how could I say that? I like the good boy, working boy, you know, tedious kind of, you know, I'm gonna do it. I'm focused. You know, it's a bit less it's a bit less impressive maybe, but I really like that about Paul McCartney kind of character, like, you know, like he and yeah, and it's funny. I didn't see this documentary, but I saw a lot of other stuff. But it's true when you see them interacting together in the studio. It's so like different. It's so amazing. You've got like, and of course the romantic idea is like, oh, you John Lennon is so you know. But I like the one that is actually, you know, always constant, always doing the thing, always serious about, like, I don't know. I like that.
Yeah. It's absolutely amazing to think that that footage was there and nobody had seen it for the length of time before it came out as well. So I can't believe you've not seen it. Being a big Beatles fan, you'll need to go and sit down and watch that, binge that. It's absolute amazing viewing.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I think I must have seen like an episode or two on tour when people were like were looking at it, I think. But, it's yeah, and I'm having trouble to find some time to sit down and watch because I've got kids and I'm touring and
Yeah, not enough hours in the day.
but I like my books, so
Yeah, it is a hard one, isn't it? Especially when you're as creative as you are, to fit everything into a day
yeah.
must
Sorry.
be to fit everything into a day when you're as creative as you are. It must be so hard to kind of.
Oh no, it's not.
Melanie, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you today. All the best with whatever happens this year, touring. As I say, I would love to see you somewhere in Glasgow.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Okay. Well, if I ever come to Glasgow, I'll tell Lucius, and he can just tell you.
yeah,
But, thank you, Martin. It was very nice to chat with you.
thank you. An absolute pleasure. I'll speak to you soon, Melanie.
Yes. Bye bye.
Thanks again for listening to the podcast. If you'd like to get in touch, please contact me on the email timeforheroespod@gmail.com, or you can get me on Instagram at timeforheroespodcast. Thanks very much. We'll be back soon with another episode.